Ravin Gandhi is with us. He's the founder of GMM Non-Stick Coatings, one of the biggest companies in that industry. And you, sir, you're not a fan of tariffs. Quickly, make your case, please.
Well, I think that I've been listening to your show. Everyone agrees tariffs really hurt the economy. If you look at what's happened in my industry since the tariffs were announced in March, I supplied a lot of multi-billion-dollar American corporations who source their stuff from China because they have to economically. None of them are clamoring to, come back into America the way Mr. Trump sort of promised. What they're doing, surprisingly, is they're looking for lower cost places like Indonesia, Malaysia, and Vietnam. And I think it's just because all of us Americans, we are addicted to the highest possible quality and the lowest possible prices. That's capitalism. And, and I think that he takes a huge risk.
Now, just give me the big picture for a second, not just your industry, but the big picture. Surely our economy is strong enough to absorb this kind of drag from tariffs, isn't it?
Oh, I wouldn't use the word surely. I think that, I hear what you're saying, that this might be a negotiation. And if that's the case, the president might come out looking smart if these other countries in the art of the deal, they drop and we end up with a better deal. But I also have read a lot of history. And I know that wars are always unpredictable. There's a first shot, and they think it's going to last a week or two, but it ends up going on years. If the president unintentionally starts a trade war, I think it will be a debacle economically. And I think come November, I know Mr. Kudlow also says things like blame China and blame Europe and blame these people. It's very hard when you're a leader like the president to say blame other people when you're asking people to vote for you, because we need leadership. And that's where I think he's taking a huge, huge risk.
OK, no, fair point. Let me just show you what the president tweeted about trade. Here it is. When you're almost $800 billion a year down on trade, you can't lose a trade war. The U.S. has been ripped off by other countries for years on trade. Time to get smart. Again, isn't this really just a negotiation? We put forward a position, they put forward a position. There's no reason to assume that what we've got today is what we'll have in 6 months or 6 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but what I would say is I know Mr. Trump got elected in some capacity by demonizing people who, other countries and people who do global business. And while I may not agree with that, what I would say from a bipartisan perspective is the Republicans and the Democrats, we have such a ridiculous spending problem in this country. Tariffs are one thing we can look at, but my God, why don't we actually look at what we're doing fiscally? Because I think both parties have egg on their face from a spending perspective. So if it were for me, I would look at Wall Street. I would look at Washington and say, fix the spending problem before we go off and start doing potentially reckless things on trade. Because you look at what Prime Minister Trudeau is doing in Canada, you look at what the EU is doing with motorcycles and bourbon, and I just get very nervous because we have such a Goldilocks economy right now. Why does the president want to take this kind of risk?
OK, maybe because it's a negotiation. But Ravin,
we'll see.
Ravin Gandhi, look, thanks for being on the show. We appreciate your point of view.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.